Hey, welcome to the Tim and Gugabe podcast. This is your host, Tim. Gugabe, usually I talk to you a little bit before we jump on, but I didn't today. How are you doing?
Yeah, ticking along. Almost end of the year over here. Be nice. Heading overseas for a couple of weeks. So that'd be good. How are we, Tim?
Wait, what did you say? Where are you going?
Heading overseas, Malaysia for a bit. Should be
Oh,
fun.
okay. Cool. No, I'm good. Busy, but good. I get like 2 weeks off of work for the holidays, but I'm like really busy with work right now and just like everything. But 2 more cards left. We got this one, and then we got the Covington card. That will be a fun one. But we can recap. Oh yeah, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, guys. But let's look at the last card. Tsarukyan just kind of like athleted Dariush. Kind of the main reason Tsarukyan was the favorite because of like that durability and athleticism and youth.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I would have seen the fight play out more, but it's like it's not like a thing where you're like, there's no way this can happen.
Yeah.
Decent.
I mean, like,
yeah.
Alexander Hernandez did that to Dariush a while ago. Like, it does happen, and it's like,
yeah.
My view of the fight. Like, I think it would. I think it should have been a fun sort of fight. It would have been a fun 2 rounds. Like, if you run 100 times, I think more often than not, Dariush gives him a good 10 minutes. But like, I think Hernandez. I think Tsarukyan does eventually win off durability, cardio, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like, I don't know, a bit disappointing if you're on Dariush, I guess. But I just don't think. I don't think it was a massive, like, aberrant, like, surprise.
Yeah. It's tough because I like both guys, but see, I was hoping Dariush wouldn't get like career-altering flatlined, and hopefully he just gets like another, like a matchup that's a little more like reasonable for him, But Tsarukyan, hopefully he gets like I've been so vocal on Twitter about how like the Chandler, Connor, Gaethje, Poirier thing just like. It's really clogged up the division, and like hopefully Tsarukyan actually gets something, because it's been going on for like years, So, and it's the best division in the sport, and I feel like the Tsarukyan Gamrot, like they can't even break into the top 5 really, but I guess Tsarukyan is now because Dariush let him in. But any opinions on that, or just kind of
I think
Tsarukyan matchups at least?
I think Tsarukyan, Makayev, and Oliveira are the top 3 lightweights in the sport. And even Oliveira's Oliveira's like got high floor but low ceiling because he's such a fucking flake. Like, I think Oliveira's at worst like 30% against anybody because he's the most dangerous person in the sport's history. But also, it's just like he could also just mentally collapse at any reason at any moment. So it's just kind of like whatever.
I've said for 3 years, like, and even before, I mean, everyone's known Tsarukyan's good for a long time, so I'm not going to act like I was ahead of the curve on that. But I've said for 3 years, Tsarukyan's the number 2 lightweight, and I think a lot of, I put him ahead of Oliveira because I feel like Oliveira can lose to more people, like Tsarukyan's not going to lose to many guys, where Oliveira can beat anyone, but he can like lose to a lot of guys too, where Tsarukyan's kind of like not like that at all. But
I could
I think Makayev and Tsarukyan are 1 and 2. Like most talented, most consistent, right?
Yeah, those 2, then probably Gamrot, then probably Tsarukyan, like then Oliveira. But yeah, I feel like the division's definitely turning over a bit, though. Honestly, it feels like the guys coming up, there's not that many like just well-rounded guys. It feels like most people at lightweight still have like a big asterisk somewhere.
Yeah, because even like Turner, it's like he lost to Matt Frevola pretty clean. Like a Matt Frevola, you don't think of him as like he's a pretty average lightweight,
No, he's not. Matt Frevola's great. Like again, like Matt Frevola.
I'm just saying Frevola's never going to break into the top 5. That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, I think that's more like a matchup / bad luck with the chin kind of thing. Like again, I think if you chuck Matt Frevola with a bunch of top 10, honestly, if you gave me Matt Frevola against Chandler or Poirier like plus 200, I know who I'm betting. Would you take Matt Frevola plus 200 against Poirier?
Michael Chandler's done nothing in this division.
Chandler's a coin flip against everybody.
I mean, it's just he's gotten finished like multiple times, and then he beat Ferguson, which means literally nothing. And then
in a war,
it's like, and then he knocked out Hooker quickly, which is like, other than that, he's like under 500. I know his losses are to like good guys, but he's done nothing in this division. Like if Chandler started his UFC debut at lightweight, like Will Brooks did, like Will Brooks started from the bottom And people forget Will.
People who just end up having these crazy runs up and then crazy runs down. It's just like the guy was probably a top 30 the entire time. He just happened to, when he joined the UFC, he kind of won, let's say, 2 or 3 fluke KO1s. He caught like a guy who used to be good on the way down kind of thing. And then that's how like springboards up. And
UFC careers are like that. Like there's a few exceptions. Like Khabib's always going to do really well. Islam's always going to do very well. Conor McGregor's run was kind of random. Like it was kind of like he got favorable matchups on. Like I liked Conor at featherweight, but he could have very well lost some matches if he think of Poirier won. Like he just knocked him out in the first round. If he doesn't do that fight, he could have lost that fight. And then he KO'd Aldo like that. And then Dustin Poirier just like didn't get a lot of grapplers. Like Korean Zombie dominated him. People forget about that. He didn't fight grapplers for like literally 20 fights. And then he's looked terrible against grapplers ever since. Like he's also another guy. Like these careers could have easily went another way. Like, and you could grab any fighter who like was okay in the UFC and ended up getting cut. They could have like legitimately went on title runs if things just went a little differently, you know? Like I'm a big believer in that too. It's really matchup dependent, and just like if you go on any random 3-fight win streak, you can become champion.
Yeah, pretty much. And also, it's like with fresh prospects, like how many times does it turn out? But that guy who was minus 500 like 5 times in a row, like 3 years later, had like these gigantic gaping holes. Like I was thinking about this the other day. Like when Soriano came to the UFC, I was fading him pretty much every time. And then he runs off a few quick KO1s, and now it just turns out, all right, Soriano was probably never more than like 55% to be fucking anybody.
Anyone. Yeah, that, I mean, we'll move on to more fights now. We'll talk about
you get the point, though.
I tweeted out how bad that performance was, and someone was like, I guess you lost money. I was like, okay, first of all, if you think I'm betting Soriano minus 400, you don't know me well. I didn't make money on it. I just was like shocked at how I always thought he like wasn't very good, but that
like it's just existing and having kind of a game plan, like that wins fights occasionally.
And he'll try very hard for 15 minutes, and he can at least come forward and try to make. He's not a good striker and he's not athletic, but he can at least try to make shit happen, and he can grapple a little bit. Like he's an okay grappler. But I'm just saying he like isn't very good. Like he's very beatable, and he definitely gets the most from his skill set. Like from what he has, he gets the most out of it because he tries like really hard. But Bobby Green, I played Bobby Green. That was always a possibility. Like shit could happen. You just like early, he was always at a disadvantage. I still feel like if Turner gets dragged in any fight, you know, I still think Turner can kill anybody. He's very dangerous, but I'm not mad about taking a shot there. Like Turner, I also played hooker there, and if you look, like I'm profitable playing against Turner in the last 2, you know, because they're both big dogs. But he did a good job. Like the range was definitely giving him issues, but Green tagged him a little bit early. You know, I feel like if that extended more, shit could have happened, but who knows?
Like it was
just definitely like bad.
It was like 16-14 at the time. It was 16-14 from the distance at the time of the knockdown. Like, the stats look like Turner pulled ahead harder, but that was
because all of the But the strikes were like even until that point. He just got caught, you know.
I honestly rerun. I'd probably give Green a better shot, and again, I'll probably give Green a better shot at beating Turner than I would give Hooker a shot at beating Turner, just purely off a rerun. Just my personal belief of how dynamics play out. But again, it's Jalen Turner, high floor, low ceiling. I think that's how he is.
It's also like you have to like look at win conditions. Like Turner can just fuck you up early.
Yeah,
he almost knocked out Hooker early, and then he got destroyed. You know, he got the shit kicked out of him the rest of the fight. Like
and he gets hurt and then just goes.
Turner's a guy I don't want to play as a favorite, but like as a big dog, he could. Classic.
It's like the Ryan Spann. Like I think like Ryan Spann a couple of years ago. Like Ryan Spann when he first came in was fucking minus 500 against everybody, which was stupid. Yeah, because Ryan Spann, his ceiling is like 60%. But if you give me Ryan Spann plus 200 against any other light heavyweight, I'll pretty much take Ryan Spann plus 200. Like Ryan Spann sucks.
Low ceiling, classic.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, Divas and Figueiredo. Font looked so bad. Like
they both did, honestly.
Yeah, a lot of people were talking about how Figueiredo looked good. I thought they both looked awful. Like Davison. I mean, Davison just looked like Davison. I wouldn't say he looked awful. He just looked like himself. I've never been as high on him as other people, but Font looked so bad. I had nothing on the fight. I picked Font to win, but like I knew Font just getting hurt randomly, which happened almost every round, was live, so I wasn't gonna play him. But like Font. If you would have told me like he got hurt a few times, I wouldn't have been surprised, and that's what happened. But he had no offense; like he looked really declined. Did you kind of feel the same way?
I did actually like watching Figueiredo's approach. I was actually quite like because like Figueiredo just played out way outside, and then just kind of like Figueiredo did play a good, intelligent way of diffusing Font's advantages. But also in doing that, like Figueiredo was just like, I'm going to concede a 50-50 kind of a fight, and then like they just happened to win it. But my streak on Font unders is insane. Like, how the fuck does Font never die? It makes no like. I had like under plus in the Vera fight, under plus in the Aldo fight, under here. It's like, how the fuck does he not die? It's legitimately, it makes no sense.
If you had like on UFC stats from you see like knockdowns, like I don't think like every round he's getting knocked down, but if you had like stanky legs per round, Rob Font is literally like the league leader in the UFC on that. And he's like never been finished.
It makes, yeah, it's like legit. Like in his like last 5 GTDs, there's been like 20 near finishes. It makes no sense. And it just annoys me because I feel like if like he died against Vera or Aldo, like his under would have just moved from plus 100 the entire time to minus 250 the entire time, and I would just save so much money. It's just like because by miracle he is somehow surviving these fucking like. It's all just like 1% more damage and he dies, or like. Slightly different ref and the waive it kind of situations. Like, it makes no fucking sense.
Agree with the ref, like, because people could have jumped in on a few fought fights at this point, you know. But Brady looked good. Good performance. I thought Gastelum. I saw I thought he would get taken down, and I thought there'd be some back taking upside, and that kind of happened. I thought Gastelum would be able to create a little more scrambles to test the gas tank, but he couldn't resist enough to tire out Brady, and Brady just had a field day. You know, like that, he just dominated him.
I've got something at the door. Just 1 second. Back in there.
Okay, you're fine. I'll keep going through a few more. Joaquim Silva, and guys, give me some of your comments on like some of your thoughts on the fights if you want. Joaquim Silva, I thought he won all 3 rounds. Like, I know it ended up being 29-28, but even the second round, I feel like Guida didn't actually do anything with the takedowns. But I knew the judges would all give it to Guida that round 2, but I thought Silva probably won all 3 rounds. But Silva's get-up games are good. Like, he kept just working up really, really well, and he's kind of showed that. Even against Tsarukyan, he did that a little bit. Stoltz vs. Soriano, we talked about that. Misha Tate, I almost played Misha Tate, and that kind of pisses me off. Because I had a feel like just watching the Avila and Sajara Eubanks fight, when I was watching that, I was like, I think if Tate gets on top, it could be a 10-8 rounder, a finish. It's kind of what I wrote on my article on the site where I give all my stuff. And so I picked Tate, and I thought about playing her, but I was just a little worried that her takedowns aren't always there. And you kind of saw that show up against Lauren Murphy. And I was like, if she gets stuck on the feet, I don't trust her. But it's like in women's MMA fights, when people go for takedowns like Tate, usually it results in a couple takedowns per fight. So I kind of was leaning for her to get him. And then she was getting him so easily. And like after the first takedown landed in round 1, I was like, God damn it, she's going to dominate. So yeah. Agreed. But I do think, though, to be fair to Kelvin, it's like his striking speed isn't really going to show up in a fight where he's like worried about takedowns the entire time and getting grappled a lot. So I would want to see him maybe a little more at 170, but I do agree, like overall his grappling looked bad, you know, and maybe he won't have the speed. I do think that was kind of a weird matchup, but Gugabe, I kind of just talked about how I was a little mad I didn't play Tate. When I watched the Eubanks, I picked Tate to win. When I watched the Eubanks fight back, I was like, Tate's top game is actually good, and you and I talked about that last week, but her takedowns aren't always good. But whenever Tate generally goes for them, and usually if you just go for takedowns, you're going to land them in women's MMA. Like, unless if you, because like women can't stop takedowns all that often. But what do you think about that one?
I kind of felt like it was going to be one of those hindsight binary things where it was like Tate has no striking defense. So if it turns out that, what? The random cell check. That's why I had to go. Don't never mind. But anyway, Tate one. I felt the Tate one was kind of weird. Like I felt it was always going to be like hindsight's. Whoever won was going to look very dominant because either going to be a veer just punching you in the face a bit and then Tate eyes, or and like I wasn't confident like how real the Tate resurgence was because I was like, all right, the one fight she looked really good in was Renault, and then Renault instantly retired. So like maybe Renault was just done.
Yeah.
I ended up passing the fight because I just kind of looked at it and I was like, I've never liked
Probably was bottom game though, because it was like even if Tate's like not that good, if she just happens to get on top, like I wrote on my article, I was like, it might be a 10-8 round or a finish, and then like it ended up being like almost a 10-8 round or a finish every round, you know?
Yeah, I do agree, but like Eubanks, I feel like Eubanks versus Tate would be a decent fight kind of thing. Brady versus Gastelum. I feel like Brady, it's like when Brady's doing his thing, he's always going to look good. It's just because Brady's game just builds on itself so well. I took a time of Gastelum, probably shouldn't, but I was just like, Brady's racing performances were kind of shit, like the cardio and all that. And like, Gastelum has scrambled with some decent guys in the past, so I thought he'd be capable of doing it here instead of just getting owned. Yeah.
So Brundage is hilarious. Like, I feel like I tweeted out, he clearly quit against Malkoon, and I was annoyed at the time because I had some type of Malkoon in that fight, like maybe it was ITD or something, and he was beating the fuck out of Brundage. And I remember being so mad at the time, but that decision, and he clearly quit. Like I know sometimes you never really know for sure, but like it was very obvious he quit in that fight and wasn't hurt. But that decision was like $150,000 decision in like 3 months, because if you think about it, he got paid like an extra $30K on his win bonus against Malkoon. He probably would have lost his job after that if he would have lost. And then he got 110 grand with like the bonus and win and show money in this fight versus whoever he just fought, Zachary. So like he probably just made an extra like 150 grand in 3 months, which is absolutely hilarious. But meme finish for sure. Like that and the close finish were very meme, but very funny, like turn of events.
Look, I mean, I'm never going to blame a guy for taking a free win for refs. Like, the Brundage thing was the ref's fault. Like, you can't really blame Brundage because, like, again, UFC careers are short. They're volatile as fuck. Yeah. And these people have, like, what most UFC fighters, they're not in UFC. They're, God knows, they have no skills. They're just not built to function in society.
Yeah. I know we were talking about, like, the career randomness, like, people who can randomly go on runs. Think of Paul Craig. If Paul Craig doesn't hit that triangle on Ankalaev with a second left, he would have been cut, and we would have never had this run that he's been on, where he's main eventing cards. That's another one. But Close, I picked Close. I almost played him too, which was kind of annoying because I kind of see it as a fight we're going to talk about this weekend in Park versus Muniz. Where I was like, if Selecki doesn't sub him inside 3 minutes, I feel like he's going to get fucking murdered, and that's kind of what I feel about this weekend. So I was kind of annoyed because I was like, Close is going to be harder to take down later, and he'll also get takedowns himself and just beat the shit out of Selecki with his pace and whatnot. But he ended up getting on top, which I do think that meant that probably would have been – I think that was trending in Close's direction for sure. But the slam was pretty mean, but it was cool. It was cool to see. You kind of feel the same way?
Yeah, pretty much. Slecky's always going to be like a very 100 or Slecky's either going -1,000 or he's going to be +1,000, just one of those fighters, like a single issue fighter.
Like Muniz, too.
Yeah, but they show grapple memes. I feel like Muniz, he's like kind of gone past the point. Like, I feel like grapple memes have like the first run where they're like confident and then they're like chasing it the entire time with like all their heart. Then they like gas out once or twice and then they're just done.
Yeah. We'll talk about that fight soon, but Bellato and Poltieri, like that, they could have stopped that fight like 5 times. But it was funny. the more Potiero was beating his ass and they weren't stopping it, I was like, oh, Belato's going to win this fight. He's going to come back and just like, if he gets like top position or like Potiero is going to gas. Like it was so funny because like the more he was beating his ass and not finishing him, I was like, he's not going to sustain it. He's probably going to get finished. But that was a hilarious fight.
I did feel like Potiero was a bit wide, but like I ended up taking him, so it's probably for the best because I was just like, all right, but like Potiero has his limitations, but I was like, yeah, plus 400 for a guy who's going to try his best, and Belato's kind of mid in his own ways.
Yeah,
but yeah, it doesn't happen like that.
Gooden was getting dominated and just like knocked. Clubbing sub Turman. That was really funny. I mean, Turman owned him for like 6 minutes. And then Gooden is very tough, though, and will swing. Like, he generally doesn't get finished and will swings. And we've seen Turman flatline before, you know?
Yeah.
So it was always like a thing that could happen. But Turman was like completely dominating, and Gooden just, he totally did high roll a knockout. It was pretty fun. I was definitely laughing on that.
High roll submission. Again, fuck people who had Gooden KO. I had Gooden KO for like, so I had a little bit of Gooden KO, so I was very annoyed.
Yeah. Veronica, I picked Veronica Hardy. Like I didn't, even when it was getting out to plus 150, I was like, I don't really understand why. I thought it was going to be like 50-50. That's kind of what I thought. And I felt like that's what it turned out to be. I feel like Hardy was better at range, which I kind of expected. And Horth had a little bit of cardio upside and had a little bit of like, I'm bigger than you. If I get on top, I can maybe do something. But like I said, like in the pod last week, it's like Horth's offense, like she doesn't land strikes in volume and she's not good at landing takedowns. So it's like she has to just end up on top somehow, you know, like with like you falling over. And if Hardy doesn't fall over, it's like she might just get outstruck at range, which kind of happened. I thought Hardy won. It was a split decision. I thought she won the first 2 rounds. Did you feel that way too?
I honestly didn't watch the fight.
Oh, you didn't see it? Yeah.
I looked at the pre-fight. I was like, all right, I assume this is going to be like similar to Hardy versus Miller. Like I sort of looked at the Horth and all right, most of the dot points here is the same as Miller's dot points. And yeah, passed.
Yeah.
Hardy probably ends up being the side, but it just seemed like it was close. Like
I thought it was really close. I wrote that in my breakdown. I was like, we probably have a split decision on our hands. Song Gutierrez, we're going to this weekend now. This is in the Apex now. It's going to be in Shanghai, but I think it got moved for whatever reasons. I don't know why. But what are the odds here? Like Yadong is like, what is he, like minus like 300 or?
Yeah, about that. I'm past that.
Minus 355. I mean, he's a more talented fighter, faster, and whatnot. Like, I think he's a rightful favorite. Does he have an answer for leg kicks? Like, have you looked into that? Because, I mean, that's pretty much Gutierrez's game.
I feel like I'd rather go Song KO than Moneyline. Just I feel like if Song's doing the right things, like Gutierrez has no pocket defense and, like, will eventually get wiped out. Whilst if it goes the full 25 minutes, I'm kind of concerned that means Song has done something stupid. Like, Song's not very defensively sound, and, like, if he just kind of gets lulled into a Gutierrez fight, like, I could just see him just ending up, like, 110, sort of consenting to doing Gutierrez things.
Like, Gutierrez is tough, though. Like, I mean, it doesn't mean he can't get knocked out.
Yeah,
but he's never been KO'd in 26 fights, so.
I just feel like a Song cover probably requires a KO. Like, I can't see, like, it going to the decision without knockdowns and me being like, well, fuck yes, I've got a Song ticket at minus 350 and it's gone to a sort of medium tempo strike. I can't. Where does Song take this to win minutes, like dominantly, outside of hurting him?
I will say I didn't think Gutierrez looked good against Muniz. Like, I thought that was kind of a bad look. But he kind of got scared off in a way, and I could see that. I do feel like the power discrepancy is definitely like on Yadong, but has Yadong faced the leg kicks before? Like, I feel like if he can deal with them, he'll probably win fine. If he
I think Kyle did the what's his name? Because Casey Kenny did the fair bit.
Because I haven't taken this fight yet, and that's pretty much what I'm going to look into. Because I feel like if he can handle him, they'll be fine.
My concern for Yadong here is like he doesn't tend to really pull away in volume that much, and like if you're betting minus 350 on a guy who you're not really getting neither guys probably get grappled here. I can't imagine Yadong massively outlanding him. So like if I think he's minus 350, I've kind of got to assume he's going to get a knockout or he's going to like hurt him multiple times. Like I just don't really see a path to the Yadong minus 350 cover without the power really figuring into it, but also like, do I want to play plus 100 Song KO? Not particularly. I think Gutierrez will pass money line personally. I think pass is probably best.
Yeah, I'm probably going to pass on the fight. But the co-main event, sorry, I'm pulling up the card. I'm just like X out of it. Anthony Smith and Khalil Roundtree. My prediction is if Anthony Smith wins, he'll call for a boxing fight with like, you know, whoever he wants. He'll like think he's a money fight, and if he loses, he'll call for a UFC title fight. I always talk about on Twitter how Anthony Smith, he'll like lose every fight and somehow always manage to keep himself relevant in title discussion. Like he's lost what, 3 of his last 4, and his win against Spann, I played him versus Spann, and I honestly thought he lost. Like I
think he should have lost that decision, but I think he beat Spann like the fairly big clip.
Agreed. But what I'm saying is he's still like inserting himself in a title discussion right now, and he has gotten murdered by Ankalaev, like embarrassing loss versus Walker, where he had nothing for him. And then he looked bad versus Spann. Like, let's be real, he didn't look good. But sorry, my dog's in crazy, but I have always like laughed at just like how he's always managed to do that. But as far as this matchup, like Roundtree, if this was a while ago, I would think like I'm not comfortable with Roundtree just because like Spann is a better submission grappler, but on the feet, I do think Roundtree will probably rough him up. Like I thought Smith looked kind of bad against Spann, and he kind of got beat up a little bit, but at the same time, it's like Smith is still dangerous, and we've seen Roundtree flatlined a few times. So, like, I feel like Smith is like a guy you don't want to play against whenever he's like a massive dog a lot, because he's still like dangerous enough on the mat and on the feet to do stuff, and he's tough, so he's going to try hard. But I tend to think his wrestling's not good enough to get Roundtree down, so they'll be on the feet where I favor Roundtree. What do you think?
Yeah, pretty much exactly what you're just saying. Like Roundtree is enough of a flake. I feel like you could just self-immolate for no particular reason at any moment. So like, I don't want to play minus 250. I feel I have a gut feel that Smith will just get kicked in the leg. Like Smith can't take any damage to the legs anymore. Like it just really, really hurts him. And like Roundtree could win this with 5 leg kicks. Yeah, in my opinion. But it's also like Roundtree is also a massive idiot, and Smith is like this kind of weasel thing. I think with Anthony Smith, like, people are unfair about his career. Like, you got to understand, UFC is a business, and having a guy at a biggish weight class who generally puts on fun fights when he's in them, who will put his hand up on a week's notice to fight fucking anybody, and he seems like a personable, intelligent kind of a guy. Like, you listen to his commentary, he's like, Anthony Smith seems like a nice enough guy. It's like Sam Alvey. People whinge about say, "Oh, why did Sam Alvey get 15 fucking fights when he got knocked out 15 times in a row?" It's like, yeah, because he fucking put his hand up on 6 days' notice to fight anybody, and the UFC fucking values that. Like,
he's fun. Okay, he's a company guy for sure, and I do think he's a nice guy. But he does do a thing where I feel like he'll be acting like a nice guy, talking down on other fighters' skill sets a lot, where he's like complimenting them, but almost like talking down on them. And it'll be like Tsarukyan, like a fighter who's like 10 times better than him, you know? So I feel like it rubs people the wrong way at times. But I overall do like him. Like, I don't think he's a bad guy. But I do think it's just like a funny thing because I don't think he's a title level fighter, like, honestly. I think even his title shot versus Jones was kind of just like, he beat like Rashad Evans and a couple guys, you know?
It's like heavyweight.
I know what you mean. But I'm also saying, like, look at like the Ankalaev fight, the Walker fight, the Rakic fight. Like, he gets dominated by anyone who kind of has a skill set. But I just feel like he always manages to somehow like weasel his way into title discussion when he doesn't really deserve it. So and people have noticed it lately, you know, like, so people are like, well, because he was calling for a title fight after the kind of in the lead up if Pereira beat Yuri, you know?
Yeah.
And he doesn't deserve it. Let's be real. And I feel like if he beats Roundtree, he'll be calling for a title fight, and like people will get tricked and do it. So he's kind of like a weird character because I do think he's like a good guy, but at the same time, he's on the desk and he's kind of taking advantage of that spotlight, right? So you can't really blame him all that much. It's like Brundage. Like when Brundage had the chance to like get a free win, he took it, you know? gotta like seize your opportunities. But overall, like, is there anything else that you think about the fight?
Not really. Again, like I've seen people liking the over, but my concern for the over is that usually Anthony Smith GDDs for people just sitting in his guard, because like Anthony Smith can just survive pretty well in his guard. Like I could definitely see Roundtree deciding to stare at him, because that's like if Roundtree's left to his own devices, he's very happy to do that. But I can't see Roundtree like chilling in his guard, which is why I'm sort of hesitant on the GTD, because like we had a great spot over a each because he just sort of AFK'd there, but like this one a bit weirder.
Yeah,
I don't know, like Smith will pass, but pass.
Sumari and Tim Elliott. It was going to be Nascimento.
I think Elliott's like minus 180. They just opened lines. Like,
did it just open?
I'm not interested in that price, to be honest. Like Tim Elliott has all the tools to fuck him up, but also he's 55. He's
I think that line's going to get wider. Like I think he'll close like minus 300 personally. The grappling hole's massive. And Elliott has Elliott been KO'd before?
He's been hurt very badly. I think he's been club subbed, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, dude, like the thing is, Sumari has no guard retention on the mat. Like, I would almost rather play like if Elliott ITD is decent, but I don't know if it will be. It's probably going to be like plus 110, But yeah. I honestly, I feel like anytime he wins this fight, he's going to murder him. Like, if he wins this fight, it means he's on the mat, right?
Yeah. And
if he's on the like, he's not going to like be on the mat for 10 to 15 minutes without murdering this guy. Like, he's going to be on the mat and he's going to get a finish, in my opinion. Like, he passes the guard a lot. Like, I think he averages like over a pass per takedown, and Brundage allows like 2 passes per take. Like, dude, Matt Schnell was unconscious. And like he was literally like 80% unconscious and landed a takedown in the mount. Yeah, Elliott's gonna murder him on the mat. Like as long as he just doesn't get KO'd like right away.
Yeah, if the under is somewhat playable, I think the under is the best way of playing this fight. Like I just hard to get to massive price.
So he's back down to minus 160. Yeah, I want to see where this line settles because I don't really know where it's gonna go. Like I'll make my decision once it's kind of settled, but I think it's a similar matchup because I feel like it's a similar dynamic. I think Nascimento is less of an idiot, but I do think Elliott's overall takedowns are a little better. So it's kind of like whatever. Like, but Elliott, the thing is, in his last few fights, he's been just going for takedowns, and that's like all you need. So, I feel like Elliott's kind of been more of an idiot against guys who kind of gave him issues. Like when he has a fight, who was it? Espinoza, Altamirano, like these guys he can just take down and do his thing. He doesn't fuck those fights up, and he should be able to do this too. So yeah.
A little bit concerned about how like Elliott didn't manage to he didn't seem that interested in passing against the Altamirano fight where it's like, he had the takedown path, so he looked minus whatever, but he just kind of looked a bit shit on the feet and like he wasn't really passing and wrestling, that kind of stuff. Like I know I feel like Elliott's starting to run up against the age where I'm just like, I don't want to play significant juice on him, particularly against a guy who could like fuck him up if he gets space. But like, yeah.
I do agree, but it's like I think as far as like a defensive grappler on the mat, this is Elliott's easiest fight. Okay, let's go through. Makayev, way harder. Altamirano, harder. Like he can defend himself on the mat more. Tagir, harder. Nicolau, harder. Espinoza, harder. Benoit, harder. Royval, harder. Dude, this is like easily the worst defensive grappler on the actual mat that he's faced in 7 years. So
you don't see Sumari's in modern UFC really. In terms of, you pick like a flyweight. Like flyweight is a real division. Like this is
flyweight. You don't see this bad of defensive grappling on flyweight. He's a good striker and he's got decent first layer takedown defense, but it's not good enough. It's like even if he's defending him, I think takedowns. I think it's 66%, which isn't good enough when you're that bad on the mat. Like you need to be defending takedowns at like 90%, and even that's not enough sometimes. Because if someone goes for 10 takedowns, one takedown, they're probably gonna get one, But Anyway, I think I don't know where that line's gonna settle, but I think Elliott's gonna run through him. Hackas and Malarkey. Hackas like minus 190. I think it's going to be competitive. Like,
Yeah.
Malarkey, his chin and durability is a little more concerning, I would say. But Hackas has been knocked out too, although it was against like Drew Dober. I think it's going to be a competitive fight. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm the same. I think Under and Malarkey both definitely sides. Like, I'm pretty much happy to fade Hackas' decision. Like, Hackas' decision right now is like evens, and I just feel like, yeah, he could kill Malarkey. Like Malarkey, like this is going to be high pace. Like, I'd be very surprised this doesn't end up being 100 significant strikes. I think if somebody's going to hit takedowns, it's probably Malarkey. I think Malarkey's not as good an athlete, but he's like better at MMA, like in terms of like he's a little more diverse striker. He probably has more chance of hitting a takedown, that kind of stuff. Or Hackas is like just purely a headhunter.
Yeah.
Inevitably will be Hackas, 3 knockdown, split decision stuff because first instance go fuck myself, says the universe. But like, I think you got Malarkey and Hackas and the Under are both pretty clear sides here because it's going to be a war. And just, like, I just don't see how he comes Hackas minus 200 here. Like, Malarkey is a junkyard dog.
Isn't he minus like 190 though?
Yeah, like I don't see how you're like, oh fuck yes, Hackas is going to win this 75% of the time. It's like Hackas gets into stupid wars against everybody. Like, yeah. I just do not see the upside of Hackas style.
I thought Hackas, like, if people don't remember, a few years ago, like Hackas was like a hot dude. He was minus 400 against Drew Dober. Like, Drew Dober now would be what, minus 250 versus Hackas, probably.
Yeah, but I think that was like the market was low on Dober and the market was very, very high on Hackas.
And we were high on Dober, and we were kind of we don't really know about Hackas. So I think we both played Dober in that.
I took Joachim Silva again. I took Joachim Silva against Hackas, like fucking plus $7 billion or some shit, and like that was competitive fight for a 7 minutes.
And then he got knocked out. Yeah,
on like zero volume.
He was hyped, and I thought he was. I wasn't as high on him, but I still thought he was like better than what he is now. You know, like I still thought he was like pretty decent, and now I'm kind of like, I don't know, he just like hasn't looked great.
I mean, the issue of Nasrat was you could see the physical tools there, and you were like, all right, there is a decent base here, and maybe he can build some things out. He can build some stuff out, but he's done nothing to really improve himself, and it's just like he's just fast hands, and the chin's not as good as it looked like. It's just he's kind of just not accomplished anything, and like. Yeah, he's a better athlete than Malarkey, but I'm pretty confident Malarkey is like, Malarkey will go body, Malarkey will go legs, Malarkey will, I don't think Malarkey's going to come out and put like a 30-26 grappling clinic on him, but if somebody hits a takedown, I think it's probably Jamie Malarkey. Like, I
think they're going to end up with it, but I do agree Malarkey's a better grappler. Even Hooker out-grappled Nasrat, like, a bit.
Yeah, so that's my thing. But like, in like a fight where I see it as being like a competitive striking war, if a takedown does happen, I think Malarkey is probably on top. And like at plus 200, that's like, I'm not gonna say Malarkey's gonna come out and compete the motherfucker. But like, if with that kind of price, I think Malarkey's kind of a no-brainer here.
I think it's
maybe like Malarkey too. Like,
I think it's gonna be a competitive striking fight, and like where the rounds are pretty close. Like if someone gets a knockdown or something, sure they'll get a clean round, but. If no one's getting knockdowns or hurting each other, don't you just think it's going to be very, very competitive rounds? We're like, and those are the hardest rounds to judge in MMA, competitive striking rounds, you know?
And and I feel like I trust Malarkey's gas tank and kind of pace more. I think Malarkey wins round 3 at a good clip. I think Hackas probably wins round 1 more often than not. My view is I'll probably put unit on pre and probably add a bit like after round 1. Like I just think like. I just don't see how you arrive at this price Hackas unless you think Malarkey's just done. Like even like Malarkey getting knocked out by what's his name's actually aged pretty well. Like that guy who just beat Wood. Malarkey was beating that guy pretty easily and just
9 off maybe or something.
Yeah. But like that looked like an absolute shit loss, and now it's like that guy's now beating Nathaniel Wood, and like Malarkey was beating him. Like I give Naimov a perfectly fine shot at beating Nasrat, to be honest.
I'm looking at something. Hold on. Even the Quinones fight wasn't like a great look for Nasrat. Like I thought he won, but it was like competitive, you know. Anyway, Muniz
even like Thibaut Gutierrez way back. Remember Thibaut Gutierrez was like fucking plus 1,000 against Nasrat. Nasrat loses around and that kind of like. Yeah. Whereas like Nasrat's one like convincing performance lately has been Rafa Garcia.
He had one against that wrestler. What's his name?
Muniz. Yeah, but
he dominated Muniz.
Yeah, Muniz has kind of not launched since. So how much is that worth?
Yeah, Andre Muniz and Jun Young Park. What do you think here?
Muniz has like 3 minutes to find submission. Like Muniz even having UFC wins makes no fucking sense. My expectations for Muniz were low, but like honestly, like the sheer shitness he's shown since he's like stopped instantly subbing people, and I kind of feel like against Craig, he just looked like he was. I feel like a lot of these grapple memes, like they have like the first couple wins, they've got like this fucking god complex. So like if I just keep pushing, I can get the sub kind of thing. But the issue, they get knocked out once or twice. They start, all right, maybe I need to learn how to strike. Maybe I have to start learning how to go backwards kind of stuff. And then they absolutely fuck themselves. So they just like start trying to actually participate in MMA. And they're very bad at it. And I feel like Muniz has kind of psyched himself out of actually fighting Tony. Like Muniz needs to kind of bite the mouthpiece. Like if Muniz is not biting the mouthpiece, like it doesn't help. It's like, it's the classic, like, yeah, people with shit cardio will just like, all right, instead of going absolutely balls to the wall and having 3 minutes of cardio, they'll decide to play patient and have 4 minutes of cardio. And it's just like, all right, you've killed your main chance. Now you just lose. Like I feel like Muniz has done that now. So, and yeah, Parker's a good fighter. It's probably a bit permissive to the grappling, which will, yeah, again, if Park gets subbed, it's not an astounding thing that's happened, but like he should pull away hard deep.
Oh, he's going to finish Muniz if this goes past 3 minutes, in my opinion. Like, it's going to be a beating.
Yeah, I agree. But, like, yeah, but he's permissive enough of grappling. I could see him getting subbed early on. Like, I don't think Parker's going to be, like, disciplined, like, you know.
Yeah.
If Muniz grapples, I'm kind of worried Park will kind of let him grapple because I think Park likes grappling enough that Park can be like, oh, I can do this. But, like. Yeah,
but the thing is, Park. If he could, like, he could take Muniz down with ease. Park is a better, Park's a pretty good offensive wrestler. Like, it doesn't get talked about enough. I've also realized I've played Park 3 times and he's won all 3 fights, so he's kind of my boy. I like him a lot here. Like, Muniz, like, he has a win condition. It's an early sub. If it goes past 3 minutes, he's gonna get dog walked bad. And the thing is, he may not go to that wrestling. Like, we've seen him strike far too long in the last 2 fights. Even against Craig, he struck for a while. And then what was the last fight? Allen, he struck for a while. Like, I mean, he was fucked for Allen either way, but we've seen him strike a little too long. So that you might have an out with that, because if he decides to strike, he's going to get jabbed up and he's going to get dog walked like badly. But the thing is, like, even if he optimizes his path to victory, it's like Park's get-ups are really good. Like he gets up, he does the Scott Holtzman. I've always talked about it. He gives up his back, which and Muniz doesn't always put in body triangles. Like, we've seen people, he'll lose position a lot. Even against Uriah Hall, he was doing that. And Park's gonna work up to his feet. I don't think Muniz can hold Park down at all. I think it will be like if he gets a win, it's gonna be like a quick back tape to like an armbar rear naked choke. But Park's like good at catching those hooks coming in and standing up. And I just feel like Park will minimize it. Even if Muniz fights smart, I still think he's in a lot of trouble here. So I think Park's just going to fuck him up personally. He opened at minus 270. It's a minus 160 now. And I agree with the odds makers. Like, I cap him around minus like 300. I think maybe 25% of the time. But it's weird. It's either going to be like 95% or 70% for Park. You know what I mean? Like, it's either like Muniz's shit's not going to work and he's going to lose almost every time, or it could maybe work, but he's still going to lose a lot because he's got to do it early, you know? So that's why I like him. Like, I understand, but you're playing the odds here, you know? But what's Park running 2 and 3? Because I also feel like Park could land takedowns here, and if Muniz gets on his back and just gets beat up, he can get mounted. Like, Park can fuck him up on the mat too, because he'll be in a cardio hit.
I know. I was quite annoyed because I was fading Muniz on the way up, like Eric Anders and that kind of stuff. I still think Eric Anders probably should have beat him in a pretty fucking big clip. Like, unless the issue of Muniz, unless he's subbing something inside 3 minutes, like, what's he got?
Yeah. The thing is, I've been playing Park lately too, because I've just like against Dariush, I noticed his get ups too. It was the same shit, and he did it. Like, the one Dariush did strike too long in that fight, but Dariush, when he did go for grappling, he had nothing for Park. Park popped right back up, But it's like Park doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't have to fight in any particular way here. He needs to just not get subbed. And he's generally like Hernandez subbed him by almost gassing him out,
I mean, I think he gets injured. Like there's a slam halfway through where he just like his entire soul just flies out of his body. I'm pretty sure like he must have like destroyed a rib or something. Like that's always been my take on that fight.
That fight was incredible. I watched it. I always watch it when I'm like sleeping Park. That fight was so good. Like both of them. Like Park really took it to him.
Because like through like 6 minutes, it looked like Hernandez was wilting out. Then Hernandez like hits a reversal and like Park just wilts out. It was like remember CDF versus Gillespie? It was like Gillespie looked like he was done. Then like CDF was suddenly like fucked.
Yeah.
Like end of round 1, like CDF's on top of like back mount or some shit.
That was
another
like
3 seconds away from a TKO. Then after round 1, it's like Gillespie just finds a fucking 50 gear. It was insane. My thing with Johnny Park is like I had a very large bet on him to sub John Phillips back in the day. It was plus 300. I still think that is a historic bad beat. Like John Phillips is possibly the worst grappler in human history. And
didn't he just land pray him for 15 minutes?
He landed like 500 total. It was funny because the DraftKings like fucking Park took him down. Like I think he set like the ground and pound record or something.
Yeah.
And like the DraftKings community was pissed off because like John Young Park got given like 5 significant strikes.
Yeah.
I look at my pipe metric. It's like Phillips. Yeah, John Young Park, 10 significant strikes, 260 total strikes.
Yeah.
It was a very controversial piece of work because like DraftKings were like, everybody watching the fight live was like, John Young Park is breaking all the DraftKings records, and he ends up with like 15 points. It was fucking hysterical.
Are there any other fights on the card you want to talk about? Garcia Costa, we've talked about. That would be a fun little war.
A bunch of fun wars. Yeah.
What do you think of Tyra Hernandez?
I know, like Tyra's like I'm higher on Tyra than I used to be, but also just kind of like his game can be a little bit janky, and I feel like one day he's going to fight the guy who can just shut down his grappling, and then he just won't be that good. I don't think Hernandez is necessarily like.
I think Hernandez is shot. Yeah, like when I was taping, Hernandez is really good at like popping back up, and I feel like there's Tyra's minus 515 right here, and like it's because Hernandez got subbed by Nascimento. But if you watch that, it was like a standing sub. It wasn't like Nascimento. Nascimento was having a hard time like actually grounding him, and it kind of just happened. Like I feel like Hernandez is a pretty good defensive grappler, and he's hard to control. Like I feel like Tyra's gonna have to sub him. It would have to be like a body triangle for an entire round, or like a body triangle to a sub, because I don't know if he'll keep Hernandez down. Like, and Hernandez, like if this plays out on the feet, would you favor Hernandez? Like probably.
Yeah, because Tyra doesn't do much. Like, Tyra, if he's not great, like Tyra's weird to me because like he's like I think his jiu-jitsu is very good, but like he's one of these guys who doesn't really have much else. Even his wrestling is like that many takedowns. Like striking, he won't do much. Grappling, like he's usually pretty good at converting the takedowns he goes for, so it's worked out so far.
Yeah,
but like it's not like he's an Elliott or something where it's like 20 takedowns in the book. Who would you take in Nascimento versus Tyra?
Nascimento.
Yeah, I think it's better. I think just more physical.
Yeah, he's hard to hold down. I want to see more of Tyra though, but that's the thing about Tyra. It's like the thing is Tyra is like physical, and I like he's still big, like, and he's lanky. He might just fuck Hernandez up, but I think his competition has been awful, like insanely bad, and I feel like Hernandez is pretty difficult to actually hold down. Like all these other guys who've landed takedowns, they haven't kept him down at all. And Nascimento got like a standing back take, and Hernandez was popping up, and it was like, okay, he got that, and that might happen here. Maybe Tyra gets standing back. He might, like we've seen Tyra do that. But I feel like if it doesn't result in a quick submission, I think this is going to get very interesting. I've only picked I thought there's value on plus 400s many times. But the only 3 I can remember where I just picked straight, I picked Dalby. Remember we picked Tabora against, and then I picked Esparza against Zhang. That didn't work out. I'm thinking about picking Hernandez straight here, but I'm not confident in it. I wasn't confident in Dalby either. But
My feeling is like I kind of had
feel
this
like Tyra's not as good as people think, and I feel like Hernandez can actually scramble.
I agree with that. I kind of thought like Vergara was going to be the spot, and then Vergara just kind of got owned. That's kind of my only hesitation because I see Hernandez and Vergara as being about the same level. And like, Tyra exceeded my expectations against Vergara, and I'm kind of like, Tyra's weird because like so much of it is like jiu-jitsu skill, and I fucking hate jiu-jitsu as I fucking hate when fighters have jiu-jitsu as their main skill set because it's like such an annoying, wobbly nothingness of a skill set. Like, being a good grappler is, don't get me wrong, like, being a good back grappler is incredible if you can get there, but like, it's one of those skill sets where just like you suddenly don't have the wrestling, and it's completely irrelevant. Like with striking, you can always kind of work that into a fight. With wrestling, you can always work into a fight. Jiu-jitsu on its own is just like you can just get to a level of fight where you just get shot out and that's it. But I don't know, like again, like definitely Hernandez will pass, but
I feel like this is a weird one because I feel like it was almost like with Bonfim, I was like he was just finishing everyone in a round, right? And so I was like, there's a good chance he just gets gas pedaled and it happened. Yeah. This is like, I think Tyra's pretty good. Like he's more proven. He's honestly more proven than Bonfim, but he hasn't faced his competition. Just hasn't been good. Like he's been in extended fights, unlike Bonfim, but it's been against just like not that good of fighters. And I don't know. I feel like Hernandez is pretty. I mean, he just pops up so fast, and I feel like Tyra's just gonna have like, and he might like. I think he's capable of just popping in that body triangle, but I don't think. He's not going to just get easy top time where it's like comfortable, where he's laying in his guard. That's not going to happen here. It's going to have to be like body triangles or a sub. And I just feel like this could get interesting. I'm not confident in it, but I don't think anyone should pop in Tyra in any parlays. Like that's just all I'll say. He might win, but it's a tougher fight than his other ones stylistically.
I do agree with that. Well, if I could say Tyra is always, I don't like his wrestling that much. Like, there's always kind of like annoying trickery. He doesn't really go for that much volume wrestling. A lot of his stuff is like very judo-y and lots of clinch trips and that kind of shit. For a guy who needs a grappling, because like Tyra's striking isn't awful, but he doesn't do much. Like
it's a lot of
there's
like
no way Tyra strikes and he covers his price.
Yeah,
like Tyra just throws like 20. Like Tyra does like. Because I've taken like a bunch of shallow overs in Tyra in the past because Tyra was pretty happy to just spend the first 3 minutes of the fight doing absolutely nothing. Like if you leave Tyra to his own devices, he will just jab you for 3 minutes.
I do think he's a pretty good wrestler. It's just it's like it's been versus really bad guys though, and I'm not sure he's like good. You know, like I think he's like an above average grappler, but.
I think his mat grappler, I think his jiu-jitsu was great. Like, don't get me wrong, jiu-jitsu great. Wrestling, I'm a bit more iffy on. I just feel like I look at a lot of like the takedowns he does go for, and I'm just not sure that's the kind of shit which will work at the next level.
Yeah.
Like, it's lots like judo trips and that kind of shit. It's just stuff where I'm just like, all right, unless you are very, very good at that stuff, like you tend to hit a level where it just stops working.
Yeah. I'm not like on this. Gugabe probably is, but I think Shavkat just like grappling upside and just like durability, like he'll probably just win.
I still think Shavkat's kind of a bit weirdly non-functional, but again, if he's the guy who fought Jeff Neal is just Shavkat, like those measurables were like prime John Jones level. Like that was one of the most stupid physical displays.
Yeah,
like that was legit. Like prime John. Like
I think Shavkat's going to get the belt personally.
Yeah. The guy who beat Jeff Neal 100%, but like coming into that Jeff Neal fight, you cannot act like you expected them to have fucking prime John Jones level physicality. Like that was insane.
Who would you take? I said 2 years ago before it was. I don't know what people would say now. I think they're probably more on my opinion, but I said 2 years ago I would take Shavkat over Chimaev. Would you?
Easily.
Yeah,
unless Chimaev could just backpack him or something. Which again, we haven't seen Chimaev.
Shavkat's tough to grapple though. Like he's always resisting, and
we haven't seen him off his back.
Cardio edge, and the striking discrepancy is massive.
Yeah, again, like my thing, like the whole Jeff Neal fight. Like my thing, Jeff Neal fight. If he has the ability to throw 5 billion strikes and he can just absorb Jeff Neal nukes to the face without giving a shit, that is the best welterweight. That's possibly pound for pound number 1. But like people acting like there was any indications on tape that he would have prime John Jones durability, prime John Jones cardio. Are absolutely fucking insane.
Yeah, it was he's tough though because he's tough to grapple too, and
the Jeff Neal fight was poor strategic display, but in terms of the sheer physicality he showed in that fight, it makes him probably the best fighter in the sport.
You know, Shavkat and Jung Young Park have fought before.
Yeah, originally.
I think like on the regionals a while ago, but I didn't. I think I might have known that before, but I kind of forgot about it. But I had seen it whenever I was researching.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go though, unless if anyone has any other comments. But I'm gonna go.
The Royval price has dropped. So I was hoping to get into a better price for that. Oh, well.
What's up?
Royval's price has dropped. I'm just looking at next week's.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll talk about that card next week. We'll do that Monday, and then we'll be off for like a month. You know, so we'll have like the holidays and everything. But thanks Gugabe for coming on here, and I'll see you next Monday or next Tuesday or something.
Yep, most likely. Cheers, bye.
Thanks everyone for listening. Bye.